Unreal Engine 5.8 just dropped and it's huge. And one of the coolest things is Native MCP that has a lot of crazy tools like blueprints, PCG, Niagara. You can connect any agent such as Claude, Codex, Cursor, and it will do the whole magic for you. Build up whole city, art direct the lighting, whatever. But it's not exactly how they sell it. Native MCP alone will not do all that magic. The demo that you saw on the Unreal Engine presentation was carefully prepared. And if you try to install Claude and activate MCP, you will unlikely get anything close to that. But wait, it's still great, but you just need the right setup around it, then it's gonna make magic. It's not another hype video. I did real dig in because this is an amazing tool, but you need to use it right. So let me explain it step by step for you, what is the best setup and what you can achieve with it. And I also prepared full guide with links and with Claude and agents.md files that will save you so much time with this installation, all by link in the description. Hit that like button and let's get started. Now let's break down the installation and why Native MCP alone is not enough. The thing is that it's an amazing thing because now we do have MCP server right away natively built in new version of Unreal, and it opens access to new tools such as PCG, Niagara, etc. in much more convenient way. Things like placing object creating materials, simply taking a screenshot, it's not a problem at all right now. But in the same time, practically, there are some limitations, like it cannot run any Python script, it is limited with deep fine-tuning on materials and objects, we simply cannot import anything but FBX or OBJ. Like if I want to import AI-generated GLB, it will ask me to import the asset myself. So here's the very first test I decided to do. I generated the location because what they was showing is the location, and then with my another agent, I extracted bunch of assets. So here you can see all the assets is around 60 assets. Why? Because I want to generate 3D models and ask it to build up me a nice city. All assets I generated with Tripo, just drop all the image right away, and I definitely generated them optimized, so it was around 25,000. And the process is quite simple. And if you want to try Tripo and support me, there will be a link in the description that will give you 800 extra credits and the promo code if you decide to purchase it. I honestly recommend Tripo as top 1 3D AI generator right now because it is top 1 in all categories such as texture, geometry, and low poly according to top3d.ai leaderboard. Especially I thought it will be useful for AI to get like part of the roads, part of the bridges, etc, and of course the plants. And also I definitely want to build it around the river, so there will be some river stuff. And boom! Here's the result that I got after 1 hour. I'm not gonna show you all the process, but I basically gave it an image and asked like, can you build me some stuff? And here's the stuff the Claude built. That was 3 days ago, and I realized this is not what I'm making video about. This is bullshit. So I started to explore the problem and I figured out what it lacks to get this setup actually work. And we're gonna need the plugin from my previous video, which just a day ago was updated to support 5.8 and work together with this Native MCP, and that's the answer we all needed. And now it's easier to install. So first of all, of course, we're gonna need to open Claude codes. I'm gonna use desktop version for this video, but you of course can do that in terminal anywhere basically. So what we're gonna need to do is open our folder in Claude codes, and I'm gonna launch it in bypass permission mode, of course. Now we're first gonna need to install VibeUE, and then we're gonna activate all the plugins together. If you go to VibeUE website right now, you can see the 5.8 tab and you can see what they actually did. And the most important thing again, it will work together with Native MCP server, basically expanding that. So let's press get it, and option number 1, follow the instruction. Option number 2, just copy the git link and tell Claude to do the job. Alright, this is how I'm gonna address the issue. So basically Claude will clone that repository into the folder. You can close Unreal Engine right away because it will still require restart, and let's wait while it's installed. Allow it to build the tool, and if it will ask to set up the Git, please make sure you have the Git because Git is actually essential. I really recommend to use it if you're not, if you're the beginner. Git is to track the version of your project and always be able to go back if something go wrong. Now the installation is done, and Claude suggests suggests me that I need to do some actions. And yes, indeed, we need to do. So first of all, go to plugins and make sure you have these two guys activated. They will not be activated by default, so please activate them. The same way, check if VibeUE is actually installed and activated. When that's done, restart your Unreal Engine once again, and then we're gonna need to do one more thing. We're gonna go to Editor Preference and find Start Server, which will be located in Model Context Protocol. It is again all listed in official Unreal Engine documentation. It suggests exactly the same flow. The auto start server means that whenever you launch Unreal Engine, the MCP server will start listening so your agent can connect. Otherwise, you can manually start the server in the ports that you want here with the command like model context protocol.start server. But that sounds very inconvenient. And lastly, we're gonna need to create .mcp.json file in your root folder for a specific agent. So here it suggests command model context protocol generate client config space Claude code, since we're using Claude. But according to official documentation, you can do the same thing for Cursor, VS Code, Gemini, Codex, and you can even install all of them if you want to use multiple agents. That's completely legal. Anyway, use my Claude.md or agents.md. That will help you to go through this process easily. And press enter and it should already create the file. And here you can see the file in the root folder of your project. Now, after creating MCP, you have to restart both Claude and Unreal Engine to get started. So let's create new Claude code session and ask if it actually can see the MCP. And yes, indeed, everything is connected. We do have latest version of Engine. So now we have two plugins installed. Let's initialize Git and let's get cooking. And the first prompt, of course, we're gonna just remove everything from the scene. And what I can say immediately that it works way faster than it was before when I showed you in the last video who was using only VibeUE. Again, that version of VibeUE was different because it didn't have access to MCP to directly do the manipulations. And again, we're gonna try to create that city that I showed, that nice concept images. I created a bunch of assets. I need to do something with them. And also the reason I want to try that example because that's what Unreal Engine shows on the demo. And in reality, what's really happening, what they really showed is that agent has access to PCG, basically procedural content generation. And what you see on the demo, especially with the city, in the video they show something amazing like the whole location, few simple prompts, and it does all the job. But in reality, that PCG graphs and the models and stuff was carefully prepared. All the buildings are modular buildings and a bunch of assets already there, and there were a lot of prepared PCG graphs so they can show you this cool stuff. The PCG by itself is a very exciting thing. So let's actually try to create it right and see how close we can get. So I'm gonna start from creating blank landscape and then let's do our first prompt. We start like this. Landscape is already in scene. Let's give it a green grass material. Something very easy. Let's start simple and then we're gonna escalate things. And so as we see, there is no issues whatsoever to create this simple task. And yeah, indeed, like placing some cubes in scene and stuff will definitely work nice. Second prompt, more complicated. So let's try to create a river and ask it to import water and create a curve that we can later control. So Unreal Engine has its water plugin somewhere. So let's see if it actually can import everything and create it nice way. Okay, so here you can see the real time and the tokens that it's spending, and after a bit it's indeed created. Okay, so the water actually goes a little bit off my landscape, but since it's a spline, we can actually move it and control the size. And this is the beauty of PCG, right? So we can create something that we can control, and that's the most fun of it. So let's continue and let's escalate it even further. I'm gonna ask it to create a road also with the spline, but I don't have a nice texture for a cobblestone. So what I'm gonna ask it is to go to full AI patina. I really like that model. Patina to create that texture and create the material later. I'm just gonna give him an API key and he must be able to do the job. Okay, so he almost did the nice job, but the texture was stretched. And as you might know, Claude actually has bad vision. I was really hoping to use Fable 5 for this because Fable 5, in my opinion, was not like extremely better, but it has better spatial vision. So if you're a Codex user, you can definitely try it out, and most likely you're gonna gonna get better results where it needs to analyze a screenshot and see if the placement is correct and stuff. Of course, I just fixed that with the next prompt. Now let's populate the objects that I generated, which is houses. Well, actually, let's start from houses. So here's my prompt, very simple. I want the buildings to go near the roads. So later I can add more roads and stuff. In my case, I already dropped all the GLB models to the project, but I did test it that this setup can also input it with no issues. So you can just give Claude any external folder and say there's like a bunch of GLBs, import them in my project, and he will be able to do that. While Native MCP alone will not be able to do that and will most likely ask you to, can you please drop it inside the project? And here we go, the result is starting to look great. And since it's a spline and PCG, we can actually correct this spline and the object will be recalculated. How cool is that? Next prompt, I do a screenshot and ask Claude to fix the issue that houses cannot be placed along the river, of course. So let's see how it fixed it, and indeed it fixed it in one prompt, and now we do have enough space and houses are not populated where the river goes. We can even try to change it and you can see like that it works very fine. Right after, it's time to create bridges, and for this one, if you just generate a bridge and ask it to use a bridge or place the bridge somewhere, it's not gonna work because it is procedural generation and bridge can be a different length and wide, etc. So I generated a short tile of a bridge so you can use it procedurally, and now we can see everywhere where road actually crosses the river, we do have a nice bridge as a PCG, and this is pretty amazing, right? We can even extend the spline and we can see if there will be created more bridges. Just amazing. And right after, I ask it to create another spline, and basically I'm gonna need a crossroad logic because of course I want my city more complex. There will be multiple streets crossing each other, and for that we're gonna need crossroads. Basically, I don't want houses to be placed on the roads when the road is crossing, right? Behind the scene, I tested that and that was not working, so I asked it to Claude to actually make it work for me. Let's go. And yeah, here's the result. Result is amazing, and you can see, for example, here the houses are not placed where the river is, and yeah, I mean, I just like this one. So here's the honest truth and my opinion about what it can do and cannot, and it cannot take a look and make something nice or even replicate the image. So that image that I showed you in the beginning, if you ask it, like even with giving all these tools and say like, please make it for me, it will not be able to do that. Even Fable 5 doesn't have that great vision. It is actually way better than Opus 4.8, which I use for this video, but not extremely. And by the way, ChatGPT vision is way better than Claude, and that's a known issue. So if you're a Codex user, expect better results in the task where it needs to take a look on the screenshot and do some stuff around it. As I said, by link in the description, you get my Claude.md and Agents.md to help you out with this process, with the setup, and also to make this process more efficient. So I didn't want it to show you another cherry-picked nice example of doing something absolutely useless. I wanted to show you something more practical, and in my opinion this is much more cooler because it helps you to create something you can control, and then again, like with this splines, you control where the river goes, where the street goes, you can play around with house density, etc, etc. So right after I figure out the crossroad, I made grass, and after the grass I asked it to populate trees. And again, all of this is also a part of PCG, which means if I start to adjust roads and stuff, then everything will be recalculated accordingly, which is just amazing, exactly what I was just explaining. And one thing that can be very useful for you is that your Claude agent can actually get access to plenty of tools. Like in the beginning, I showed you that it can access full AI, like with Patina to generate some material. It also can access Blender and create some primitives there. So for example, while I was testing it, there was a successful example how it generated grass blades with Blender and then exported as GLB and imported in Unreal Engine, and I had similar results to what you see here. So how do you like the results, guys? Let me know in the comments. I read all of them, and I almost forgot, but some of you might be interested how good these graphs look, and it look awful. So you can see they're all spam compounds in one place and somehow connect it. And this is a real issue, so you might need to go and just, organize them yourself. But as we know from the state of Unreal, with Unreal Engine 6, most likely the blueprints will be deprecated and it will be more of a code. And I think that actually makes sense, because I think in the end of the days, everything of this will be handled by agents anyway. Let me know if you agree or disagree with this way of thinking. Also, the reason why I use HD model for batch generation is that you can also set the right poly counts. You can even go as low as 5,000, but here you can generate it together with the texture, and it will take a little bit longer than Smart Mesh per object, but it will be more accurate in shape. A Smart Mesh for this variety of object can fail, and again, frankly, some big houses like Pagoda will not fit 20k limits. But generation overall was quite amazing and super easy to do. And I almost forgot to show you that it actually can work with lighting. They didn't lie about that. So I will ask to build up the golden hour lighting, and here we go. This is probably a little bit too dark from what I expected. So we're gonna play around with it and ask it to fix it. Ooh, okay. So now it is much better. But you can see it actually set the sun, all the shadows and stuff, and well, this looks so much better, right? All these reflections and stuff. And altogether, the whole process you see in this video can take around 2 hours, because again, each prompt is like 5 to 10 minutes, depending on your knowledge. If you're gonna ask right things and you know about the Unreal Engine, you're gonna get through it faster. I saw some other YouTubers video and they say that it's hard to reproduce what Unreal Engine shows in demo. That's absolutely true. They prepared it carefully, but it doesn't mean you cannot use it. You can. With this setup, you have maximum that it can offer. So enjoy the process, create, and I hope this video was helpful for you. So like and subscribe, and I see you in the next one.